Hello, everyone, and welcome to COS in MSIS. I'm your favorite 619 coordinator, Candace Taylor. Welcome and thank you for joining. I want to talk to you for a few minutes today about how to enter your child outcome summary information into the MSIS system. It's a simple process, but I want to make sure you have all the steps you need to get your data entered correctly. As you know, when we start any training, we talk about our MDE vision and mission. Of course, our vision is to create a world class educational system that gives students the knowledge and skills to be successful in college and the workforce and to flourish as parents and citizens. Our mission, therefore, is to provide leadership through the development of policy and accountability systems so that all students are prepared to compete in the global community. And we know our preschoolers are no exception to this. So, the goal of the State Board of Education strategic plan that the Office of Early Childhood focuses most heavily on is number 3. Every child has access to a high quality early childhood program. And the COS, the Child Outcome Summary that we're going to talk about today, is part of the data that we report on how our children are doing during the preschool years that receive special education services. So let's look at what happens when we enter this information into MSIS. When a child begins receiving services, we have entry information, and we want to make sure that when we do our entry information, as of right now, we're trying to collect all the data for last school year, the 21-22 school year. If you are able, please try to get all of your COS data for last year into MSIS by December 1. I acknowledge that there have been some error messages that have gone out, and OTSS is working on that. So if you continue to get error messages when you try to enter some of your students, please email me and let me know. Now, going forward, once we get all of our ratings done for last year and we're caught up, we're going to put our entry ratings in MSIS once the COS form is completed by the IEP committee. And I would like for you to do that within 30 days of collection. And that's just kind of a monthly thing so that you're not trying to scramble and put all of your data in at the end of the school year. Now, if a student has moved to your district and you feel like they should have an entry COS in the district that they came from, you can email me and I can look in SharePoint and see that student's information is in there. And if so, I can move it to your district where the student is currently residing, and you can enter that information into MSIS. And pretty soon we won't have anything else to do with SharePoint. But for now, if you feel like you have one that should be there, please send me an email. Now, when you get ready to go into MSIS, here's what your screen is going to look like. Now, when you log into MSIS, you're going to click on Modules, Special Education, and Student Update. And if you're a person that enters information into MSIS frequently, at least for special education information, you are familiar with the Student Update page. So once you click on that, it's going to take you to choose your school, because you'll only have your district's information. So you'll select the school that you want. And once you do that, you'll tab over and select the student that you want. And for the information that you're doing right now, let me point out that you will switch to school year 21-22 because this is last year's information. So make sure you do that and select your student. You're going to go to the student update page, and if you have updates to make there, if you've not already made them, if everything's not complete, that's a great time to go ahead and do it. Then you'll go to the next tab, which is early childhood outcomes. And as you can see, I've circled in red there the part that you're going to enter for the entry. You have 3 outcome areas that you're going to put your entry scores for. Those are the ratings that the IEP committee came up with for the 3 outcome areas. And that's going to be a little drop down box there that's going to give you a choice between 1 and 7. You're going to choose the number that the team gave the student. and then you're going to put the date that those decisions were made. And they have put in here an opportunity for you to put the date for each outcome. Now, chances are they're all the same because you probably talked about all of them in one meeting. But if perchance they're different, that's okay too. Just make sure you enter the date that the ratings were given for each outcome. Okay? That's really all. That's all you have to do for entry. Okay? It's pretty straightforward. Now, when you get ready to do a student's exit information, which some of your students may have already had an exit, or you may have some that have an exit this year, what you're going to do is just like you did for entry, you're going to enter those exit ratings and progress. Now, this is the part that's different, and we'll talk about that. In MSIS, once the COS form is completed by the IEP committee, again, please do this within 30 days of collection because we want you to do it by the month so you're not scrambling at the end of the school year trying to hunt up data and missing things and questions and all of that. We want you to go ahead and be ready. And several people have asked if there is a report to run to make sure that you've included all of the children that should be included. There is not currently an MSIS report for that. My advice to you, your best bet is to run your preschool roster because it's going to show you all your preschoolers by age, and you can see who is getting ready to turn 6 so that you can make sure those students are included before their 6th birthday, you get those exits done. Now, when you get ready to enter your exit data, you're going to do the same thing you did before. You're going to the same screen, go to modules, special education, and student update, just like you did before. You're going to select your school, just like you did before. You're going to select your student, just like you did before. It'll take you over to the special education student update page next. If there's anything that needs to be changed there, of course, you can make those changes at that time. Otherwise, you're going to tab over to the very last tab, which is your early childhood outcomes. And as you can see, the exit scores go on the right-hand side. It's very similar to what you did when you did your entry scores. You're going to have a drop-down box that will give you a choice of ratings between 1 and 7, and you'll enter those exit scores there. You will enter the date that those exit scores were decided, just like you did for entry. The only difference is you see you have an extra column over here that says progress, and that's going to already be included on that COS form that the team filled out. They will mark Y for yes or N for no for each outcome. It's already included on the front page of the COS form, so all you'll have to do is take that information, choose the drop down, yes or no, and you will add that as well. That's the only difference from entry to exit. Now, for children who are not enrolled in a school but are in School 500, the screen looks a little bit different, so I wanted to walk you through that as well. This time, you're going to go to modules, special education, and non-public student data entry. And if you are familiar with MSIS, then you likely already know how to do this. You're going to go to that screen that's going to, and make sure again that you go back to 21, 22, excuse me, to make sure you get the right year. You will put in your student, you'll do a search for a student, and once you do, you'll get the details of that student. If there's anything you need to change, add, it's a great time to do it. Go ahead and do it there. Then you will scroll over to the special education page. If there's anything that needs to be changed there, you can change it. Otherwise, tab over. There's the schedule page. If you need to add something in their schedule, you can certainly do that. Or otherwise, you will just continue to tab over to the early childhood outcomes part. Now, for your outcome area, it's the same as it is for children who are enrolled in schools. The screen is the same. You're going to do your 3 entry scores for your outcome. For each outcome area, you've got a score 1 through 7. You're going to enter the date just like you did before. And I don't know why my circle got a little too big there. You don't need the exit score yet because you're just doing entry. Okay? So then when you get ready to exit the student, same thing. You're going to go to modules, special education, non-public student data entry. The screen is the same. You're going to put in the child's MSIS number or name and do a search for that student to come up. When they do, you'll go over to the Details tab, make any updates that need to be made, any changes that you might need. You'll go over to the next tab for Special Education, make any changes that need to be made there. Go over to their schedule, make any changes there. And I know I'm saying tab through each one. The system wants you to tab through each one. It won't let you skip from choosing a student over to the early childhood outcomes page. At least that's my understanding. We've had some folks that had a little trouble with it, and they had to tab through each one and then tab over to the early childhood outcomes. And there we go. And again, my circles aren't quite where they're supposed to be. So you need your exit score right here, just like you did for entry, your date there, and this one is different. Remember, whether or not the child made progress, you're going to enter Y or N, yes or no, for that, and you'll have a choice on your drop downs. Okay, a few notes for going forward. SharePoint at this time will only be used if your district has not submitted forms for feedback. And there are approximately 28 of these districts. Actually, I think we're down to about 26 now, because I have heard from a couple of folks for this year. So otherwise, you don't need SharePoint anymore unless you like it. If you prefer to keep your information there just for your reference, that is fine. But you don't have to do it for our benefit, okay? Your COS forms will be completed at entry and exit for each student, but only the ratings and progress will be entered into MSIS. So all the notes that you have, the skills that you've listed that a child has or that they're still working on, you're still going to put that on your form, but that doesn't get entered into MSIS. That is kept, as a part of the child's record. And that being said, make sure you fill them out accurately, because this is a piece that can be reviewed during your district monitoring. If you have questions about filling them out, please continue to email me. My email address is there on the screen, CATaylor@mdek12.org. And as I mentioned earlier, there are still some errors that are popping up when you try to enter some students, and OTSS is working on it. They have made some changes, but some folks are still getting an error message. And if that's the case, please email me again at that same email address, and I will let OTSS know that we're still having a little trouble there. So that is really it. That is the long and short of it. Again, if you need anything, if you have any questions about the COS process or about entering this into MSIS, please email me, and I am happy to help as best I can. And with anything else I can help with. And I thank you so much for participating, and let me know if you need me. Thanks so much.